The most dangerous stage inside a residential building company is not startup, it's actually the journey from $1.5 million to $3 million in revenue. Because what happens is your revenue climbs, your stress doubles, but your bank account ends up being the lowest it's ever been. And the reason is brutally simple. And once you understand why, growth becomes so much easier. Because the challenge at 1.5 to $3 million is you're absolutely maxed out. You've actually hit a ceiling of what's physically possible for you to achieve in a day, a week, a month. So you simply can't get out of that danger or dead zone until you build structure with people and systems inside your building company. Because the truth is, once you build your building company to $4 million and beyond, you have decent revenue now and hopefully decent profit, which is what we'll cover in this, to make sure that you have enough money flowing through overheads to employ the right people inside your business. And what we're talking about there is a great team that you can actually afford to employ and keep. So, what we need is revenue big enough so that we can support an A grade team inside our building company. So, I've been a registered builder since 2009. I've done everything from bathroom renovations to kitchens to brand new homes to extensions, renovations, all the way up to multi residential homes, building architects' private residences, building everything there is to build inside a residential building company. And despite me turning over millions of dollars every year, I was doing beautiful work. I had great clients, but I still couldn't turn over a profit high enough to pay me what I was actually worth, let alone the work that I was actually putting in inside my business. So when I tell you revenue doesn't mean money or profits, I mean it because I lived a bit of a nightmare for a while until I worked out what needed to change. So if you're stuck in that danger zone or that dead zone, I'm going to show you exactly why that happens and how you can get out of it. So let's go back right to the beginning. You've started your residential building company. You're doing 500 to $1 million in revenue. And business is actually quite easy at that level because you've still got a nail bag on, your overheads are really, really low, and business is enjoyable. You're working for good clients, things are going well, you're on every site, you're managing everyone and everything. And because you got the nail bag on, you're actually doing really well. So business is okay. You're actually making money and doing well. Bank account looks pretty healthy. But you need to understand why you're making that money. And it's quite simple. You're actually getting paid three times inside your building company. You've got three different income streams coming in weekly. You're just stacking three lots of income inside your building company. Your bank account is looking pretty healthy. And the reason you got three incomes is most of us are carpenters that come into this industry. So you're on site, you've got the nail bag on, and you're picking up on your carpentry allowance. You're basically getting paid to build stuff. It's money that you're not having to pay somebody else, you're picking it up. So essentially, you're double dipping on every job. So that's one income stream. The second income stream is you're project managing every job. And because you're there every day and you know what's happening, projects run smoothly because you're there. So you're picking up project management. And thirdly, you're picking up margin on the job when it's completed. Carpentry allowance, project management, and builder's margin on top. Three income streams that are stacking weekly on top of one another. So business feels like it works, but it doesn't. You work. And the moment we take you out of the equation, there is no business. And this is what happens when builders hit the $1.5 million range and beyond is they give up two of their allowances. So up until this point, you've been wearing three hats. But the moment you grow from 1.5 to 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, you can't be everywhere. And this is where the danger starts because you can no longer have a nail bag on. Business has outgrown what you can physically achieve in a day. So let me explain to you how I work this out, because I lived a bit of a shit show until I realized what the actual problem was. So, like I'm discussing now, I'm sitting around 1.2 to 1.5 million dollar range. Things are going well. My building company had been running for quite a few years up until that point. Things are going good. I'm doing well. I've got new clients. I've got old clients coming back. I've got multi-residential projects. I've got architects owned private residence. Things are going well. I've got the nail bag on. I've got time to get the shit done because I'm available and I'm on site. Business is actually not that difficult. Things are going quite well. And basically, I feel like I've made it. I feel like the business is going well and I feel like I've cracked the big time. Things are happening. Now we're going to go to the next stage of growth. Start to get excited. I get a knock on the door and a developer rings me with a $1.75 million project. I quote it. Sure enough, 1.75 million is what it comes at. I win that job. So I take it because why wouldn't I take the job? Because up until this point, business has been going well. And it seems like the next stage of growth is to take on a big project like that. I knew in my head that I wouldn't be able to project manage everything from every site anymore with the nail bag. So I took it on thinking this is going to be great. We're going to hit 3 million plus in revenue. Everything's going to be fine. So I nearly double my revenue almost overnight, and I have to make a decision what I'm going to do. So that's where it happens. That's where the danger happens. I have to take the nail bag off, drop it on the ground, and basically move into a full business owner role. So I go out and I employ a site foreman to start to run my jobs. Straight away, I give up one income stream immediately. And that's where the trouble starts, because here's what I couldn't see coming. Because up until this point, I was happy with my earnings. Things were going well. Business was making me money. And the reason was I was dipping into every single job 3 times, 3 income streams: carpentry allowance, project management, and margin. And life was good. Life was going really good. But the day I employed a foreman to run my sites was the day that I gave up one income stream. The next income stream went because I had to have a head chippy on site that would start to do all the chippy work. So straight away, I've given up 2 of my 3 incomes. Massive hit to my revenue, massive hit to my profits, or what I thought was profits. So now I've got to the point where I'm living solely on margin. I now have 1 income stream. The other 2 are gone. And here's the killer. I realized that I'd never priced my jobs to carry a site foreman or a head chippy on every job. And the reality is, why would I? Because business was pretty good up until that point. I was making profits. Things were going well. So my quotes never carried the wages that I had to pay out on every job. And now I find myself paying a full-time salary to a site foreman, and it's actually coming out of my margin. So I went backwards, and I didn't just go backwards a little bit, I actually went backwards big time. So what I'd done is I deleted 2 incomes. No one ever told me about that. No one ever told me that I needed to be job costing site foreman's project management fees, head chippies on jobs, because I'd been doing well. Things were going good. So my revenue climbed to $3 million, but my margin didn't change. If anything, it went down. And let's just say that I was hitting 15%. And to be honest, most builders out there wouldn't actually know what margin they're hitting at the end of every job. They're going in at such low margins that they're probably coming out the other side at 10 to 12%. So on a $3 million business, we're turning over good revenue, but the profit margins are only sitting at around 300 grand. And at $300,000, there's certainly no net profits. And when I take out all the overheads inside the business of just what it costs to actually run the business, the 300 grand is gone in seconds. So that tiny little slice of margin now has to run my entire business and make sure that I actually turn a profit or a net profit at the end of the financial year. And at $300,000 at 10% net, there is nothing left. So I like to think of it like this: you wouldn't go and build a mansion and get the electrician in and put all the power points on 4 circuits and just load everything up on 10 amp breakers. You would upgrade everything. You'd probably have multiple circuits. You'd have minimal amounts of GPOs on each circuit, and you probably, some would be running a 15 amp breaker, some would be running a 10, some would be running a 20 amp breaker. And the reason that is because you've built its solid structure. If you don't, what you're doing is you're running around like a blue ass fly, running out to the switchboard every 5 seconds when you plug your phone in because you're popping the breaker. And business is a lot like that. And that is exactly what I built. I built the home with not enough grunt to actually support what I was trying to put it through. So I scaled the house up, but the wiring underneath it didn't change. So I'm not actually doing okay. It just looks like I'm doing okay. So the reality is the house should have had fewer power points on each breaker, and it should have had upgraded breakers to 20 amp and potentially a lot more breakers. Business is no different. So basically, like I said, I'd lost the two incomes inside my business. I'm living on margin, and the structure inside my business is nowhere near ready to withstand that sort of revenue, let alone that massive jump of 1.5 to $3 million in revenue. And I'll tell you the exact moment that it hit me, and it didn't hit me for a while. I thought things were going okay. Money was coming in, but I just found myself in a really terrible cash position. Every single month, scrambling around, cash flows up the shit, wondering when that stage claim's going to hit, trying to land other jobs to get deposits to come in. It was an absolute shit show. And I found myself working so hard for so little. So I remember being on site one day. I sat down and I just thought to myself, I really need to go home and have a look at the numbers and find out what is actually going on here. So when I sat down and actually went through the numbers line by line, it was really evident to me as to where it had gone wrong. And my stomach dropped because it was in black and white right in front of me. And I'm going backwards on every job. And I'm not going backwards a little, I'm going backwards a lot. And the hard part about it is I couldn't do nothing about it because everything was priced for me earning 3 incomes and not priced to support a team that I'd gone out and employed. Those jobs were already signed, they were already contracted, and they were already well and truly underway. So I just had to ride them out. So the damage was already done well before any hammer or any piece of timber got cut on site. And the thing that was really tough to swallow was I basically watched this whole thing play out in real time. And I'd been running my building company for years, but I couldn't actually tell you what I should have been making as a builder. And here's the truth of it all: margin was always supposed to be the business. The carpentry allowances and the project management allowances were just wages in disguise inside my building company. They were not job costed, and they were always wages that I was going to lose the second I built past $1.5 million in revenue. So if you're running a residential building company, the goal is to not stay at 1.5. The goal is obviously to build, but you've got to build quickly with the right structure and get to that $4 million mark so that you can actually afford to employ a really good team. Because staying at 1.5 to $3 million, you're sitting in the danger zone. Revenue is purely not high enough to support the overheads inside your business. And the only way you're going to build past that is structure through people and systems. So let's start with the first system. Your job management and estimating software has to be absolutely on point. Every single job must be tracked, every single budget accounted for, and we need to be tracking budgets versus actuals. We're not going to wait till the end of the job to see how the job has gone. We need to be tracking it in real time while the job's actually moving. Every component, not the whole job at the end, every component while the job's under construction. We also need to make sure that we're factoring in overheads into our job costing to ensure that we've got adequate allowances for project management, head chippies, and whoever else you need on site to run these jobs for you. Because here's why. At this stage, feel is finished. You can't feel your way through a $3 to $4 million building company. So the builder who waits to the end of the job to look at his numbers to find out whether he's made a profit has already lost before the job's even started. So you must track every job live. You must have solid data in front of you every single week that the doors are open inside your building company. The next system is people. And this is the rule that has to run through every stage of growth as you grow your building company. Every stage of growth, you employ people and they need to be guns. And the reason you employ the best is because you've structured your business, your pricing in such a way that you can actually afford to employ people that are potentially better than you and help you go to the next stage in business. Because when you employ people, you're actually buying back your time. And at this stage, it's a site foreman, someone that can run the sites without you having to be there. Because at the moment, you're the most expensive person on every building site. And often you're doing $40 an hour jobs when you should be doing $400 an hour jobs. So the foreman does the work on site and he reports to you on a weekly basis. And as you push past the $3 million revenue, the business is able to fund the next guy for the next stage of growth. They're the ones that you could never afford to pay when you were living foot to mouth on barely any builder's margin. The next hire would be an estimator, so that you're not the only person inside your business that can produce tenders or create quotes for clients. The next one is a proper admin person inside your business, someone that can handle the day-to-day and take a lot of that stuff off your plate. Every single stage of growth, we need to employ the best that we can get. And the reason we are able to do that is because our building company has built structure around people, around systems, so that every single job is tracked, every job is profitable, the margins are solid, so we can afford to employ great people inside our business. And what this does is it actually frees up your time to work on the things inside your business that are going to promote growth. And once you get structure inside your business, you build past that $3, $4, $5 million range, you actually have more time and you can focus on building the business, building it to the next level, and the stresses become so much less because you have power in team, you have solid structure inside your business. So if you're sitting around the $1.5 million range and you're working harder than ever and your bank account is starting to dwindle a little bit and you don't know where all the money's going, this is exactly what's happening to you. You are sitting in the danger zone. You're watching money disappear every day. You're starting to experience cash flow issues. It's purely because you're sitting in that danger zone. And you're not a bad builder. You just haven't built structure to build past that next stage. So you're not going to get past it by working harder. You're not going to get past it by just taking on more work and scaling revenue. I've already told you what happens there. You need to build structure around systems and people inside your business. So you can build past $1.5, $3, $4 million in revenue. So if growth feels like it should build freedom into your life, should build time into your life to spend time with family, and it's doing the exact opposite, it's because you're in the danger zone. Or if revenue is the highest it's ever been, but your bank account's the lowest it's ever been, It's simply because you haven't built structure inside your business and you're operating in that shitty danger zone. So each month we take on 5 builders inside our coaching program. And it's designed to help you build the structure and the framework inside your business so that you can start to run a proper building company instead of having the building company run you. So if that's you and you feel like you want to make that change in your business and get out of that shitty danger zone, send me a DM on Instagram and type the word danger and I'll get in touch with you.